Hi, and welcome to Intro to Yin. I'm Selena Vaughn, and in this video, what I would like to do is to just give you a little bit of an introduction. What is it that we're trying to accomplish in Yin? Where is the focus? How to use some props? And in the video to follow, there'll be more instruction as far as the actual postures. So if you've never practiced Yin before, one, I highly encourage you to try it. But two, it is a little bit different of a practice, especially even if you've practiced yoga before. It's quite different. If you back up just a little bit, even above what we're trying to do here, and we start looking at all of physiology, and really all of it is either going to be yin or it's going to be yang. So yin, Y-I-N, or yang, Y-A-N-G. Things that are more yang are things that are higher, brighter, more mobile, heat producing, closer to the surface, activities like riding a bike, jogging, chasing children. All those are going to be more yang. They're going to create heat and energy and vibrancy. Things that are more yin are going to be things that are lower, slower, deeper, denser, cooler. Practices like this Yin Yoga allows us to experience the other side of things, the cooler side, the slower side. A lot of our tissues can be described as either yin or yang. Our skin is closer to the surface, so we would call that more yang in nature, whereas the tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, all of that is deeper and denser as far as the way the tissues are made up and then the way we actually use them. Muscles are very elastic. They're more I would compare them to like an elastic band versus the tendons, ligaments, the connective tissue, fascia. It's more like if you stretched a plastic bag or a piece of saran wrap, it'll stretch, but it doesn't go right back the way it was. Our connective tissue is a lot like that. So being that's the tissue that we're working, we're not looking for some kind of repetitive action on the muscles. We're trying to get a lower, slower, denser aspect of a practice. So in Yin, you're going to hold poses for a longer period of time without a lot of muscular effort. It takes a little practice for us at first because we think we have to be doing things or we have to feel like something is being accomplished instead of just allowing it to happen. So we hold poses for a longer period of time with less effort, and there's a lot of waiting, and typically we're not as good a waiters as we should be. We want things to happen quickly. We want things to happen the pace that we want them to happen. So I encourage you to settle in and understand that the poses last longer, so there's not going to be as many of them. They have a familiar shape, but the focus is going to be different, and even the name will be different. I didn't make this all up, but I really do love this practice of Yin. I think it's a wonderful way to experience our body in just a slightly different way. We tend to do a lot of sitting, not that that's necessarily bad or good, but we do a lot of sitting, and when we sit, our body tends to form to that shape. So connective tissue, tendons and ligaments, like say your hip flexors are going to be in a more tight, contracted position. Your low back might be a little bit overstretched, where your front is a little bit underutilized. So in this manner, we want to try to bring a sense of balance, right? We want a sense of openness, a sense of ease in some of those tight, dark places. Yin, things are lower to the ground. So the lower body is considered more yin-like versus the upper body, which is more yang-like. Not to say our shoulders don't get tight as well, but we tend to focus more on our low back and hips in this style practice. Props that you may want, you can look around and find some stuff that probably would be useful, but this is just a regular bolster. It's a yoga bolster. In fact, it's probably, if you look it up, it would probably be called an Iyengar bolster, but a pillow works just fine. There's some bolsters that are flatter and a little bit more dense, but those will work fine. But a bolster may be helpful. Also blocks. I love blocks. Blocks make a wonderful prop. In Yin, the support is really more to fill the gap between you and the floor and make the experience a little more comfortable, because we don't want to cause stress in some places that we're trying to relieve stress in others. So blocks are wonderful. You can also use a different density. Maybe you find a different pillow or a rolled blanket or rolled towel. That might work. Also, I like yoga, these blankets. They're just like in the Indian style blankets. They're wonderful props. They fold really nicely, but you can have something else available if you don't have one of these. And really, anything can be a prop. Anything can take up that space between you and the floor, or support your knee, or support your feet. Or support your head. So be creative. Find some props that will work for you. Don't worry that you have to begin when you have everything all arranged. Sometimes we just kind of have to jump in and start. So don't be afraid to start. A couple of things, just kind of housekeeping things about our body. When we're working with hips and low back, kind of the weak link could be your knee. So if you have any sort of pain in a joint, that needs either a prop, or we need to just find another way. There's always another way. So we don't want to cause strain in the knee. Most of the time, if you feel it in your knee, it's because your hip is not responsive enough to open to get the position you're trying to obtain. So please be mindful of knees and any other joint for that matter. We never want to have pain in Yin. There may be a sense of being slightly uncomfortable, and that's another thing that we're not used to having is that sense of being uncomfortable. Slight uncomfortable is different than pain, right? If it feels like you're having to clench in order to maintain the posture, or pull or kind of drag yourself into a deeper spot, you're probably working way too hard. The practice of Yin is really a much more at ease state of being. So there's really three main things that we're looking for. We're looking for finding the appropriate edge. So you'll hear me talk about the edge. So the edge doesn't mean pain. Pain does not make a good quantifier. We want to stay well away from pain. So we want to find our edge, or that place of first sensation, or first pull, or first area that you really start to notice, right? So we're looking for the appropriate edge. The edge may change during the time limit of the posture, which usually Yin postures are anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. As you go along, as you practice more, you probably will want to hold the poses even longer. But a beginning practice, really 3 to 5 minutes is probably plenty. So we're looking for the appropriate edge. And then we're also looking to become very still. Because if we're moving and fidgeting, that's kind of disrupting the nervous system. It's disrupting that flow, right? So we want to find the edge, want to become still. And thirdly, there's a lot of watching and waiting. We're watching for sensations to arise, not to judge or label as good or bad, or some other label that you want to place on it, but really just watching it. Sometimes things come up, you're like, oh, I didn't know that I was so tight there. Oh, I didn't know that I could release into that space so easily. Or maybe it's not easy. But the judgments in the label is really what our brain does, or what our ego does. So really kind of put some of those things off to the side as well. If you feel pain in a joint especially, then coming out slightly just to see what happens. If you come out a little bit, instead of coming all the way out, maybe just come out just a little bit. Or if that doesn't relieve the sensation, please just come out and just wait till the next posture comes along, because there's always going to be something else to come along and replace it. There's also the option to go a little deeper, and that also takes some time, right? That's why we want to be in these poses at least 3 minutes before they really do any good, right? Because it takes the body at least 60 to 90 seconds to release and to relax, because the muscles are like, wait, what do you want me to do? I'm going to have to be active here any minute, I know. So it takes a little bit for the body and the brain to kind of understand what's happening. So we hold poses for a longer period of time with less effort. So if there's a mantra in yoga or in Yin Yoga, that's what it is. We hold for a longer period of time with less effort. Always use a prop, even if I don't give you the direction to use a prop. If you feel that a prop would be helpful there, use it. Tuck it under the leg, put it up underneath your chin. You may even rest down on the bolster. You know, there's all kinds of ways to utilize these bolsters. I think a lot of times we think we have to use it in this kind of flat position, but a lot of times a really great prop, especially for doing a forward bend, is to use it on the end. So hopefully this little introduction has given you something to work with, maybe even something to think about. And really the other thing is that you can't really do it wrong. I don't want you to feel like you have to do it correctly each time, because if you were in a class of say 10 or 12 people, everyone looks a little bit different. It's hard to gauge when you're practicing on your own whether or not you're in the right place. But this is a feeling sort of practice. It's not a copycat. So feel your way into the poses. Allow your body to either go deeper or to come back, and really just stay with it. Even after a short amount of practice with Yin, you may feel lighter, brighter, and a little bit more at ease. So I highly encourage you to try it. Sometimes, like any kind of activity, the first time through, it seems a little awkward and we are not sure about it. We're not even sure if we liked it or not. But if you stick with it, try it a couple more times and see if maybe you can't find a way to enjoy it, or at least see the benefit. But please be mindful. Please be careful. If you have any sort of reservations at all, then just leave that out. Don't worry about it. Like I said, there's always something to come along and replace it. And it really should feel good, and you should feel better when you finish than when you start. That's really kind of my motto as far as the all of yoga, is you should always feel better than when you started. So thanks for joining me for this intro video, and I hope you enjoy the practice of Yin on this next video. Thanks, have a great day.